Corley Moore, spending a few minutes here at the beginning to talk about the Vigilantes. If you know me, you know I love this group. And if you are not already a Vigilante, you need to ask yourself why you are not. There are so many great things about being a member. You get the first look at the behind the scenes of the scrap. You get to have input on the future direction of the scrap. There are the Vigilante meetups, the Vigilante only swag shop, the merch discounts, the fireaways, the VIP forums, which are like scraps, but you get to log in and be involved on the screen talking to the person. It's great, man, and all the Vigilantes are invited. You get the files, you get the posts, you get the questions and the polls, but the best part, besides all of that stuff, the best part is that you get to belong to a community of like-minded souls. And when you have that, when you belong to a community of like-minded souls like that, man, it is powerful. Especially in this calling, especially in this profession. When you have that, you are never alone. So go to patreon.com/thevigilantes and join today. It's $5 a month. $5 a month. I used to say it's the price of a cup of coffee, but that's not even true anymore because you can't hardly get a cup of coffee for $5 a month. It's the best value in the fire service. So go to patreon.com/thevigilantes and go sign up today. Become a member of the Cool Kids Club. Come hang out. I look forward to seeing you there.
Introducing the Affordable Bailout Prop, another innovative training solution by Affordable Drill Towers. The Affordable Bailout Prop is a durable and affordable training tool that allows firefighters to enhance their skills with real-world training in your parking lot or on your apparatus floor. Most fire departments only require annual PSS qualification, which isn't enough to develop muscle memory. When seconds count, you must be able to deploy your PSS and quickly escape by seating your hook in the sill or using a remote anchor point. With an overall height under 12 feet, a 5x7 footprint, and 12-inch heavy-duty swivel casters with double locks, the Affordable Bailout Prop can be easily moved between your parking lot and apparatus floor. Constructed of pressure-treated 4x4s, the window frame dimensions mimic the Denver drill window prop with a sill height of almost 8 feet, featuring a pressure-treated 2x12 sill. The rappel wall is made of 8 2x10s screwed into batten boards. All parts, including the windowsill and rappel wall, are designed to be easily replaceable if they become worn. A vertical ladder provides access to the deck, which is approximately 4 foot above ground level. In addition to window and ladder bailout drills, you can also train on removing victims through the window, whether handing the victim to another firefighter on the ladder or using the ladder as a high point. Don't stop with rescue drills. Consider advancing a hose line through the window and learn methods to overcome the challenges. Or hone the mechanics of VES, Vent Enter Search. The uses are endless and up to your imagination, creating an enormous value. With its inspiration coming from the events of FDNY's Black Sunday, Affordable Drill Towers donates 10% of all proceeds from the Affordable Bailout Prop to the Lieutenant Joseph P. DiBernardo Memorial Foundation. The Affordable Bailout Prop is available as a kit that you assemble, or fully assembled, where we train you how to assemble in the future. Elevate your training regimen with the Affordable Bailout Prop, setting a new standard in fire department training excellence. Reach us at 84455 Towers or info at affordabledrilltowers.com.
Got you. And like I said, it's been an adventure. I don't know if anybody can hear us, but it's been an adventure.
Don't go away. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back. We got it?
We're back. Ready? Go.
Ready? Okay, we're going to start this over. Here we go. Everybody, just in case you were wondering what kind of adventure this has been. Weekly scrap. I gotta mute my YouTube. Sorry. Hold on, everybody. There we go. Okay. Weekly scrap number 254. My guest tonight is none other than Rich Stack, and it promises to be a good one. As you can see, it's already been a good one. He has been in the fire service since 1995, the last 23 with the Chicago Fire Department. He has risen through the ranks and is currently the Deputy District Chief assigned to the Quinn Fire Academy as the Director of Training. Rich has been an instructor at the Chicago Fire Academy, the College of DuPage, and at the Illinois Fire Service Institute for On-Scene Training Associates and Duty, Pride, and Tradition. Rich Stack has taught the following programs: Engine Ops, Truck Ops, Structural Collapse, RIT Under Fire, FAST, Fire College, Smoke Divers, Fireground Officer School, Leadership and Decision Making, and in the Cornerstone programs. As if all of that isn't enough and enough of a mouthful, he also has the college degrees, the paper. Let's not, are we even going to discuss the fools? I'm sure it will come up. My brother, a long time to make it happen, but we made it here tonight. Welcome Rich Stack as the guest for Weekly Scrap number 254.
Yes. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. A long time in the making, I guess we should say, since we met in Huntley, Illinois.
Yes, absolutely.
We were both presenting there. Awesome. I'm excited. Ready to get into it.
Anything I missed in the intro? Anything you'd like? Because brother, it's hard to melt down everything you've done into just a short 30-second intro. So is there anything you'd like to add?
I would say that I'm nothing compared to most in this field, and it's all just fluff. What really matters is what you do on the street. So we'll get into it.
Very solid. Very solid. Audience, get your questions primed and ready. Sam is watching the YouTube. He is fielding for your questions. If you have questions for Rich, type them in YouTube. Sam will throw them at me. Kyle is dealing with a hurricane or something that's going on in South Texas, so he is busy. I think he actually popped in to say he was busy, and I appreciate that. So with all that being said, let's get to the sponsors so we can get to the scrap. The OG sponsor of the scrap is, of course, Key Hose. You can check them out online at keyhose.com and follow them on Facebook. Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props like the affordable bailout prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder bailouts, and ladder high point rescues. Then they make the affordable standpipe prop, which you can roll into the classroom where you can do your standpipe theory, but then you roll it into the parking lot and you can actually pump it and get hands-on training with pump realistic flows and pressures. Their mainstay is, of course, the affordable drill tower. It comes in several configurations, standard with the standpipe system. You can choose from 1, 2 sets of stairs, integrated into your existing Connex boxes for multi-story access or freestanding on a slab. All models are NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing you can't do on an affordable drill tower is live fire training. Call Steve, 844-55-TOWER, or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. One of my favorites, we're almost there. One of my favorites, Fire Station Furniture. And dude, if you love Steve, man, absolutely. The
Steve's
affordable
the man.
drill. Yeah, Steve is the man. I got to say that. So I didn't want to cut you off. Firestationfurniture.com. They provide a complete line of quality furniture for your firehouse. Firefighter owned and operated. They understand the strain firefighters put on furniture. They offer furniture that's built to last. Visit www.firestationfurniture.com for more information. And finally, brand new sponsor tonight, first time, the Lawless Axe from the Lawless Brothers Fire Tools has double the striking face of a standard axe and is designed for easy carrying using their tool grab system. From the roof to the door to the fire room, the Lawless Axe is meticulously designed for the whole fire ground. Check them out on Instagram and at lawlessbrothersfiretools.com. And they are two passionate brothers trying to make a difference with their design and their tool. And if you ever get to meet them, they are good dudes. People are sending me, no audio. So I'm sorry, I'm going to mute my phone real quick. Thank you for updating us, please. I really do appreciate it. So, all that being said, we're done with the sponsors. We're ready to focus on the guest. Get your questions in here. And Rich, I'm going to start off because one of my passions is leadership.
Okay.
I want to start off with something you sent me in our emails as we talked back and forth, and that is leading from the front and by example, and what that means to you.
I can't say that's my words. It's not. There are probably many people I'll reference here tonight, and if I forget some, I'll apologize. Um, I learned that from a guy named Mac McCaslin, who's on my shirt. If I can get it in there somewhere, you can see good old Mac. Yeah, he's on the arm too. We got him there. He was kind of a mentor to all of us, got us all starting teaching at IFSI and into teaching and expected more of us. He was an old Marine from Vietnam and great guy. And another guy, Bob Hoff. Pretty much over the last couple years, I got to teach with Bob Hoff, and that was just their example. Like, lead from the front and lead by example. And what I learned from them, what I try to do in the fire service is, our shift change by the contract's 8:00. No one does that. I mean, most people are there by 6:30 or 6:00. You're a scumbag if you're not. And there's plenty of scumbags. So whatever. I get there at 5:30 as a company officer, especially as a lieutenant and captain. I got there at 5:30 in the morning. Why? I want to be the first one in the firehouse to see how the day's going. I want to see the members come in. I wanted to have that time to look at the journal from the shift before, 2 shift befores. I wanted to, just see what the vibe is of the firehouse. Does it smell like smoke and stinky in there? I walked in, then you knew they had a fire, and you're like, shoot, we may have missed one, or they got the lucky one, or just what's going on, just to be prepared to set the tone. From those examples, I learned, I'll ring up a lot of people's names, but Bobby Hoff was real big at this too. You got house chores, you got rig chores. You help with the chores. I'm having this fight at my new position at the academy right now, actually, which is interesting. You start it or be a part of it. Yeah, they'll push you out of the way, but you got to be a part. Because how do you know where the deficiencies are if you aren't involved in it? And the example is, yeah, we got to go test hydrants. You're going out there to test hydrants. We got to change the hose. I'm going to help pull hose off the back and change hose. Whatever it is. You're right. They'll let me cut less, do less, but you have to lead by example. That's all there is to it. And that's where I learned it from.
That's beautiful. I'm going to catch you up real quick on the chat. Everybody, if you haven't been here, Sam and myself and Rich, we kind of did a little wrestling match trying to make the internets and everything cooperate. So that's what made it happen. So a little discombobulated, but I'm going to read this. Chris Wolf said, Richie, let's go, brother. 3 exclamation points. Steve Mouch said, yeah, there we go. Excited to hear from someone with Rich Stack's kind of experience. Let's go. That's from John Lawless. I'm reading some more. They said start over, no audio, start over, no sound. We got that. So we're covered on that. But I wanted to catch you up. From Australia, Stephen Kaiser said, hell yeah, let's go. Richie Stack is the man. A single scrap is not big enough for the knowledge bombs tonight. Steve Sanguidochi said he's the real cheese. And Michael Ramirez gave three nice flexes. He said from Texas to Chicago. There we go.
Wow.
No, there's a lot of hype for you. So I wanted to throw that in there. I would usually do that before I get it into it. But leading from example, and I want to ask you, what's it like to be influenced and be mentored by, and you mentioned Mac. I don't know Mac, but everybody kind of knows the name Bob Hoff. And for you to say Bobby Hoff, and he's the person that mentored me. Can you put that into words?
Well, I can, and it's kind of a weird relationship in the fact that when I came through the fire academy, I should say Chicago's academy, February 20th, 2001, Bob Hoff was the director of training, and a guy by the name of Steve Chikarotis was the assistant director of training.
Oh, wow.
And so to get to the spot I'm in, to be asked to go there, I was humbled, scared, intimidated, nervous, and like these were legends, and I inspired to be in those spots, and I'm there, and I'm like, they messed up, man. They made a huge, colossal mistake getting me there. And I think of this often. You should hear the conversations I've had with my wife and some coworkers, but it's overwhelming. Now, I didn't know Bob then. I had more dealings with Steve Chikarotis in his role, but than I did Bob. Kind of a funny story is, as I go through my fire service career, one of Bob's brother-in-laws, ex-brother-in-laws, Bobby Gelpo, was my officer. And his father was a legend on our job, Jack Gelpo, and he used to come to the firehouse with a bunch of other retired members, and not firemen only, police officer, Chicago Parker. They came to the house, and I was the cook for about 3 years at 63, and they'd come and have lunch. And that's how the relationship started. So because of who my officer was and who his father was, which was Bob Hoff's ex-father-in-law, the relationship came. And then teaching at IFSI, he taught there, friends taught there, and to now where every week that man calls me to see how I'm doing at the academy. How's it going? You
Right
still
on.
doing good? I mean, it's amazing. So I guess back to that story, I can see myself. The nervousness was these guys are legends. I can't fail. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. Like, how I'm in this role, and these guys were there, and they were like gods, and these people are sending messages and listen to Richie Stack. There's got to be people listen. Who the hell is Richie Stack? Why am I going to listen to this jerk off? Like, so it's humbling. It is humbling. It's overwhelming, but it's also a bar that's set that I have to achieve. You can't
Right.
be subpar. They were not, and anyone that fouls cannot be. So I
That's
guess that's it in a nutshell. If I even answered it right.
No, absolutely. And I think you encapsulated it with it's a special kind of pressure. Like
Mhm.
it's its own self-fulfilling pressure because now you have to live up to it. You have to.
Yep.
Are you ready for your first question from the audience?
Sure. Throw it out there.
This one's coming from Joe Gavita. Welcome back, Joe. How do you handle days on duty when you are just not 100% mentally? Do you change anything in your routine?
Okay. Have to say, I don't think I change much. I am a very much so a regimented, very structured person. If I don't, and I can tell stories here where when I didn't follow my routine, I got in trouble, or it threw me out, or I missed a step. So when I haven't felt myself, the routine actually is what helped me. Keeping busy, staying engaged, staying interactive. It's that idle time, right? I mean, there's some phrase, idle time's a devil's work or devil's doing,
Yeah.
that's when you get in trouble. That's when you had. So the structure or being involved, like the busiest, worst days we ever had were some of the best days. Because I didn't have time to think about maybe something at home. I didn't have time to think about I got out of the house, car didn't start this. I got to work later than I want, relieve the other officer too late. Now I feel like a jerk off. So, no, I think I don't change routine. I try not to. It's when I don't follow a routine or I skip a step is where I find myself failing a little bit. And happened me at a fire, rushed, didn't bring my box light in with me. And it really threw me off. And I had one of my coat, one of my helmet. I had a light still, but I skipped a step. So I lay my stuff on the dash, specific locations and how I get dressed. That's how bad I am. So,
Right on. No, I love the answer. I love the answer because, well, it's something that people can actually implement. So many times it's just something that's unique to you, but that's something everybody can do is regiment. I do this, and this.
right. I think it
Well,
helps. I think it helps.
second question coming at you from definitely not an OKC firefighter. I'd like to know the story behind the name, but not the point.
Oh,
Um,
God.
what checks do you put in place to check yourself on your alignment with where you came from, especially as you've risen through the ranks? I love that question. So,
What checks do I put in place? I don't guess I don't ever thought about myself having a check in place. I always felt like I was so overcritical of myself. Like after you come back from a fire and you're second, I don't say second guess, you reanalyze everything that happens. I guess that's what I do. I reanalyze what happens. I can say it now on my day. I get to the academy at 5:30, and after the day's done, I think, all right, what we did today, what do I already got to do tomorrow? So the other thing that keeps me in check is those senior people that I don't want to disgrace. That if I do, believe me, someone's going to tell me, right? It's just because you have a title, just because you have a gold eagle or gold bars, that don't mean crap. It's all about your people beneath you and below you and who you work. It's, as those guys I mentioned said, it's all about the people that you work with. And every rank you get, it's less about you and more about your people. So that's just a simple fact. So I guess my checks and balances, those people let me know if I'm messing up. And believe me, they'll let you know. I'm sure there'll be a post in here if someone had a problem with you and you needed to be checked. So I guess that's probably my check and balance is that evaluate yourself. What are you doing? And if people are looking at you sideways or funny, if you find yourself, it's like when someone asks you, what's a new guy coming to the firehouse? Hey, is Corley a good guy? And he goes, as soon as I say,
Right.
he's not it. Great dude. He's a fireman. He's a fireman's fireman or fireman's firefighter. That's all I need to hear. When there's a out.
No, that hesitation. It's all there. It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, definitely not an OKC firefighter. Got a ride. Send the fire emojis so that we hope it is a job. Absolutely hope it's a job he's running on. Send the fire emojis in the chat. Questions still the questions are still piling up. I hope you don't mind.
I love it.
I got one coming at you, and thank you. Well, he's not here, but thank you for that question on alignment. When it comes to leading from the front, this one comes from Derek 8. When it comes to leading from the front, do you find the younger crew members slacking off because you are doing the work? How do you handle that if it happens?
Okay. That's the hardest and biggest jump from being a firefighter to company officer. I can tell you that the day I wanted to be day I got to be a member on Squad 5, it was probably the most humbling experience. I was at Engine 72 for 2 years as a fireman. Then I went to Engine 63 for 8 years. And then I was lucky enough to get a detail to Squad 5, get assigned there, and got promoted lieutenant out of there. And I didn't want to take the lieutenant's promotion. There were times my wife and I sat at the kitchen table and I was going to turn it down. And it's about a $12,000 raise back then from firefighter to lieutenant. You don't have to take the engineer promotion. We don't call it chauffeur, we call engineer, which just for the engines. The driver of the truck's a fireman, just gets a bump and pay for the day to drive. So you can skip that rank. We had talks at the kitchen table, and she's listening upstairs, so she's probably laughing, dealing with all my nonsense over the years. I didn't want to take the promotion. I was going to turn it down. And yet my buddy Brian McCardle, Gary Cooney, Tom Azzeri, Johnny Hojek, they all got promoted off the squad, and they all said, you got to take it. You got to take it. We all had the same battle. So what came with that is you're used to going to work. And to answer his question, sorry, it's a long way to get to the answer, is that when you find yourself doing too much as the officer, that's when you're taken away from that young guy's experience or learning, or you see them pulling back. That is the hardest transition because you're a new officer and you have to learn to step back to let them operate and to give advice or direction, but let them run. When you come in and say, no, do it this way, that way, it's almost like you're micromanaging. And I shouldn't have to do that if I train on our off time when we're not on a run. I should be training so that our people are up to speed, or so that I have, they need to know what my expectations are as an officer. I need to know what their expectation of me, of them is, right? What they expect of me, what I expect of you. And you have to have that and do that. And if you don't, you'll find yourself doing more. And we see it every promotional class we do here in the city. We did the officer program down in Champaign at IFSI. Now we're doing our own here in Chicago for our own lieutenants and captains training. We're doing our own school. You see the guy being an officer and he's forcing like, time out. You got a guy behind you with a bar. You should be reading the building. You should be reading the smoke. You should be seeing what's going on. You should be profiling the building. So I guess that once you learn what your role and responsibility is, in that I won't do too much if we train and I get our people to where we should be or where our standard is, that kind of takes care of itself.
Ooh, yeah, I love it. Love the answer. Love the answer. Everybody, this is how discombobulated I've been. That's the first timestamp I wrote down. So please, I hope you have been taking your timestamps and you will share them with me, because I've been off my game. And that was beautiful. And I can't wait. And I'll listen to it again. But thank you, Derek, for a phenomenal question. The next one's coming at you. We always say, this comes from McGinn, one of the best. We always say lead by example, but how do we make sure folks are following the right example?
Well, there's a word that someone told me once. It's called trust but verify. Trust but verify. I think it was Tim Walsh's words, maybe, and I may be off on who said it. But what I learned in officer school, when I went through officer school, I was a fireman and got to go through fireman officer school. So myself, Gary Cooney, McCardle, Andy Hoff, we all went together. And I just wanted to go to see what was going to be an officer. I knew I was going to be promoted down the road. And what I learned from those classes from those guys, and I think Lou Lake ran it, Jeff McKay, Bob McKee. I mean, these are guys are legend by us. And people are like, who the hell are these guys? They're just people for me that you got to know. Why I love listening to the show, because I hear people that others say that I got to know, and that gets me to get that exposure and want to learn. So what they said there is trust but verify. Real simple. I'll give you an example. We go to a building, you say the primary search is done, then we say the secondary search is done. Whoever's calling out that final search, if that's my company, and this was taught to me, I walk the building myself. I trust my members did it, but I'm the one as the company officer calling in the search is final. I'm the one getting suspended. I'm the one getting the write up for, dereliction of duty or conduct unbecoming or whatever. So you trust but verify. You look and see the ladders thrown. Awesome. They did it. Hey, I need a 35 to the rear. As you do a peek out the window, man, guys are awesome. I got to give them an attaboy when we get back to the firehouse and thank them for a job well done. So that trust but verify also allows me to tell them thank you for doing a good job. So
I like it. Now, do you have to, I'm going to ask you this because this is off my own personal question. When you do verify, do you have to communicate with them that, look, this is me just checking to make sure things are done without, how do you balance that between I don't trust you because I'm checking up on you? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
yeah, it's like, listen, I'm sorry, Jill, if you're listening. It's like being married. She just got to see me look at that girl walking across the street, but she doesn't know I looked. I'm trust but verifying. I'm watching. I don't do it in front of them is my point, right? I'm going to look and see it's there. It could be like, hey, did you throw that ladder right? And I look, no, that's ignorant. No, but and throughout my, job on the fire ground or, working on a scene or whatever, a pinning, look to see, hey, did they throw a wedge under that front tire? They use a step chalk. They get a strut out already without me asking, like, hey guys, let's make sure we strut the back end of this car. Then you see it's done. That's my verify. So it ain't like you have to rub in their face. You're doing it to make sure it was done right, or they don't need help. You could have someone do a task and be like, man, you know what? I probably should help them, or they need some additional help.
Right on. All right. I love it so far. And there's questions stacking up, but I do want to hit some of the topics.
Sure.
Your training philosophy, because you've been heavily involved with training and instructing for a long time, but especially now in your current role, you've promoted into, like you said earlier, you alluded to it earlier, you stepped into the shoes of some giants. How have you adapted, learned over time, if anything? Best advice for people who want to train and instruct?
I would say that training to instruct. Well, I'll give you an example. I wanted to be an instructor for IFSI, and we were in our chapter. Southside Fools was our local chapter, and I remember a guy in our chapter by the name of Tom Stravino, and Mac McCassin was in it. Tom Stravino was a legend here in Oak Lawn. Tough little Dago, tough little Italian guy. He was an iron worker, built like a brick house. I can't say the words. My mother may be listening. I try not to swear. My mother listens, even though I'm a sailor. Not by really, but he would be an iron worker and he wanted to get a better workout. He would tape 5-pound ankle weights to his wrist and ask what they had drilling overhead all day. And they go, Tom, that's a young man. That's the apprentice's job. He goes, no, I want it. He'd tape ankle weights and drill all day just to get an extra workout. The guy was a machine. So, philosophy, lead by example. So, training philosophy would be that what Tom told me was, when I want to be instructor, he goes, you need to take some more classes first, and maybe why don't you start training on your own job first before you go elsewhere. So because of Tom, I didn't go to IFSI, become a teacher. I didn't go to college to get paid. Was asked to go to the academy. I think I had 4 years on, 2006, 4 years on, 5, to go teach an academy class. And I didn't think I was able to. I was like, no. And they pushed me to, and it was the best thing I did. So take some classes, get out and teach. Another thing was Lou Lake would take me to help him teach. Someone would cancel, come on, do this class. I didn't even get paid. I just went to help out. So you stoke for classes. There's a ton of guys listening here. Danny Bracken, Jared Birchie. I'm skipping a ton of guys. Alex Griff, all these guys, They stoked, and they didn't care if they got paid $1. What they learned from just being around people that were passionate and into the job, it was an infectious disease that just carried over.
Yeah.
And these kids are aces. Aces. So, so I guess I'd say keep taking classes. Don't ever stop. Get involved with training, even if it's a minuscule thing as far as humping pallets, loading a victim. You have to pay your dues, in my opinion, because then you appreciate those coming up and the hard work it is and it takes. So That's, I guess, my best answer to that question. Training philosophy would um, be a student in the game, right? Everyone probably says this. So I guess that's cliche.
It's solid.
Philosophy. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that though.
Okay. Okay, I'm
I don't
listening.
know. I don't. It really got me thinking on this one. Philosophy. I guess my philosophy is, you know, don't do anything you wouldn't ask someone else to do, and if you're going to train, make it realistic and pertinent. Drill is not to be 4 hours. I hate when you got these stupid nonsense drills and they're 4 hours long. It's about nuts and nonsense. Could have been 20 minutes. If it's a 10-minute drill and that's it, it's relative, pertinent, awesome. Some drills need to be more involved, but it needs to be relative and you got to include everybody. So make your training realistic, pertinent, and relevant.
Love it. Dude, I absolutely love that. Steve, Sanguidochi coming at you.
Steve is the man.
Steve is the man. And that's what I love about
Whalen, Mario, Mo, Michael here. I'm probably forgetting somebody. Those guys are the best down there.
I do want to say that like the sponsors of the scrap are absolutely phenomenal. Usually almost all of them are in here. Like it's not just that they sponsor it and put their products out there and they have great companies. It's also that they're in the chat actually talking, asking questions. And so it's just, I'm very proud of that. So I'll brag for a minute. But he said, love it. Now that you're at the Fire Academy, what's the single best way to communicate with the new generation? And are they as passionate? He froze. Oh, he's back.
Am I still frozen?
Nope, you're back.
Yes. So I heard part of it. What's the best way to connect with the new generation, and are they passionate? Was that correct?
Basically, what's the single best way to communicate with the new generation, and are they as passionate?
That's been difficult, right? You think I'd be better at having daughters, and well, they're in college. Oh my god, am I back? These things is going to drive me crazy. We back?
You're back. You're back right now. We'll see how it goes.
Good.
So far.
All right, good. All right. You guys got to communicate with them. I think communications really affected the fire service, COVID, and everything that young kids don't know how to communicate. They don't give eye contact. They rely on social media and all that stuff. So what I am finding is trying to communicate them on their level. There's some things that just doesn't work. I'm sorry. A video, Instagram, Facebook, all that isn't the same as actually putting a face piece on, crawling a hallway, forcing a door. Sometimes you I think that's the best way is find out how they learn. I say being an instructor is like being a coach, right? You ever coach sports? If you have, what you got to do is know the athlete. Some kids you have to coddle, some you have to push, and some it's a mix of both. And that's kind of how training is for firefighting. Some people shut down when you get into them. So
love it. Love the answer. And no, I like the answer. Thank you for the question, Steve. I'm getting there. I'm getting the notes back up, getting back in. We're fighting. And this is the best part of a live show. Like we get live audience questions, but you also get the live problems with the internet. So just enjoy it. We're along for the ride. And that's why I love the people.
that's great. Yeah.
The people that enjoy the scrap, they understand what's going on. Greg White wants to know, what was one of the biggest things you've learned from promoting to lieutenant?
The biggest things I learned is that as a fireman, I never really worried about anyone else except for maybe my partner or what I was doing. I wasn't accountable for anyone else. It sounds arrogant and stupid, and I don't mean it like that. I mean, when I worked on Squad 5, we had each other's back. When I worked on 63, we did 72. But I wasn't in charge of anybody, right? I knew my partner was with me. I knew we were going to do a search together. What I learned, I became an officer or going through officer training or seeing it as we do it, is that you spent more time in that first year, first couple months, accountability of your crew and communications. Like poor communications, how to communicate, where my crew are. Like I want to be the first one off the rig at the door. First in, last out. People think that's a cliche. I call bull crap on that. Well, if a guy goes down behind me and I left before him, How do I know it? We had it happen here in the city. Also, if I'm not the first one off the rig ready to go, what happens when the firefighters get off the rig? They're gone. Now I'm playing catch up. Instead of, why did they search left or right? I don't care. You better have a reason.
Right.
The bedrooms are on the right side. There was a window over. I thought I saw some. But if you're not there and they start to go that way, wait, why are you going that way? They can tell you. Or, hey, I need you to go this way. The bedroom are here. We got a reporter somewhere in the bedroom. If not, they're going to run wild. And I did the same. We just did whatever we want sometimes, right? If no one told you what to do, I'm going to do what I want. So that was probably the biggest lesson I had to learn, is that I had to be ready to go. I had to be accountable for people. And think of the rig. We run with typically 5 in the city, 5 in an engine, 5 in a truck, 6 on the squad, which is 2 pieces. But we could be on a variance where you're 1 member down.
Okay.
So how many people's lives are you affecting as the officer? Just like an operator, driver, chauffeur. Everyone in the rig, are they married? Do they have kids? I mean, everyone's heard this cliche thing before, but you're not affecting just one life. You're affecting 20, 30, 40 lives, and so on as it grows.
Yeah.
So it matters what you do.
And that mindset, brother, that's a powerful mindset when you start accepting that mantle of responsibility, not just for your own actions, but the actions of those you're responsible for, and then the spin out, the ramifications of who that's going to play into.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I thank you for the question and thank you for the answer. Greg, great question. Rich, great answer. Next one. Zachary Pace wants to know. We get this question a lot on the scrap, and so this is I'm interested to see your answer. But he says, "What advice would you give your backstep fireman who is getting frustrated by mutts in the department?"
Awesome. You have to pick your battles, meaning if the mutt is the officer, good luck, right? But who is that other firefighter on the crew that you can pair up with, that you can work with, right? And if it's not the officer, if there's maybe another member that's not in the job with you, find who you has the same drive, motivation, energy, the intuitiveness into the job. That's who you want to be around. And if it's not at work, then get it somewhere else. Join a Fools organization, take some training, go to some conferences, go to HOT, go out there and network, meet people. Any class you go to, you should be networking. That is the best, biggest resource you have. It's happening right now today. You people are texting, asking me questions. You're asking an idiot here. I'm lucky I'm even on this show. Courtly just had an opening, but I'm doing the same thing that they're doing right now to me, that I did the exact same to someone else. And you reach out and you find it. So if you ain't getting what you need there, find it somewhere else. And weather the storm. That's not a forever spot, right? Do this. You're still going to work every day, get a paycheck, and you get to be a firefighter in American Fire Service. That's the win. That's the win. And if you had to look at everything else, I just maybe backtrack and think about, you talk about my philosophy or all this, something I learned from those names I mentioned of people earlier. Who do you want saving your family? Is it you? Are you the fireman you want showing up at your house? This is not my words, once again, passing me. So look in the mirror. I'll tell you, there were names I mentioned earlier that when I was a young fireman, I thought I was a cat's ass, but I wasn't, until I made many mistakes and close calls and didn't. And look in that mirror. And if you're not that firefighter, you want to save your family, it's Mike Dugan. It's, I don't know, Johnny Jojo, or whoever the hell it is. You know what I mean? I would want Bob McKee, Bob Hoff, Mac. I mean, that's my world. But who do you want saving your family? And if it ain't you, then you better find out. You better get there.
Dude, I love that. I love the advice. I love the advice so much, man. Between our topics and the beautiful questions coming from the audience. Closing. Thank you for the question, Zachary. Ryan Orsa says, "Oh, we'll get to Blitz in a minute. We'll get to Blitz in a minute, Ryan. So I'll come back to your Blitz question because we're gonna get to Blitz." Katie Bout. If I butcher your name, that's my standard caveat. I'm sorry, Katie Bout. Through teaching, have you noticed any common problem areas amongst students, regardless of age and/or experience? Is there a common theme that you've had to overcome?
Problem with the students or with training, or a problem what I see as a deficiency in training? I guess I'd say problem with students is keeping the interest, right? Keep an interest. Skill may not be there, but we can teach a skill. It's having the passion and drive. I think what I've seen more on my job personally, I'll speak of only my department, is for some people it is a paycheck. For some people, it's the best job or pay they ever had, right? And they're content when they get out of that academy and they go to a slow house where I'd be out of my mind. I mean, I'd be like, really?
Right.
And they're content. And my uncle set me straight. I had uh, six uncles and an aunt on Chicago Fire Department at one point. My dad was a volunteer fireman. I always mention my dad. So sorry, Pop, I didn't mention it yet. My biggest hero, mentor in life. Um, and so I lost my train of thought there. Son of a, where were they going?
Those who take the job just as a paycheck,
Oh, thank
slow
you.
houses, yes.
So, and it would enrage me. My uncle set me straight. My uncle Buck, actually, he's an engine guy. My uncle Steve was a truck guy. So, in the bar in the basement, which is where I'm at now, in a family party for the Southside Irish Parade, there'd be some interesting conversations because you want to duck, go on a truck, sissy hook and ladder truck. I mean, it was a lot of stuff. So, but he gave me grief. He's like, "Do you want to go to that house?" I'm like, "Hell no. Who wants to go there?" He goes, "Exactly. So be glad someone went there. That's a detail you don't have to take." I'm like,
Ooh,
okay.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
It put in perspective. I'm calling this firefighter a coward. Why they here? And I found myself when I got promoted and I'm detailed, or you're at a house and I'm like, yeah, I'm just detailed here. I found myself like justifying why I was there for the day. Like, I'm not a assigned officer here. I'm just detailed, or you because they had a reputation being a crappy company. So, I guess the hardest thing is getting people that are interested in investing in a job like you are, and you think everyone is and should be, and you quickly find out they're not. So finding out how to get them invested in the job and have the passion that you have, you can maybe get it, you maybe can't, but the challenge is trying.
I love it. Love the answer. And I love this next question coming at you from Steve. Steve, same with Dolce. He wants to know, hey, what's in the cup? That's a great, it's a
Since, since,
classic scrap question.
since I'm maybe have to work tonight, I'm going to say it's tea.
T.
It would not be Kentucky Owl, but I have a selection of Kentucky Owl, Eagle Rare, Blanton's Gold, E.H. Taylor. I'll stop there. No, the door's open.
And you're invited.
They're all welcome.
We've all just been invited to Richie's basement. So
Come on.
we're coming. All right. Coming at you. Getting back up to the notes. High stress situations. How important is it to trust both your instincts and your training? And how do you incorporate that into your training?
I say it's vitally important to rely on both. Um, Training, you can never sacrifice training, right? And I should say that good, relevant training, right? Uh, just let's stretch the line, and we do it at the firehouse. We just stretch a dry line, cross lay, and just to say we did it, we don't even charge it. Like, no, there's no obstacles or no debris. Like, it's got to be realistic training. What was the other part of that question? Give me the second part.
Coming back, instincts and training. How is it important to rely on both, and how do you incorporate that?
Oh, instincts. So the instincts part. Anytime I got in trouble was when I wasn't maybe directly with my officer, you're doing a task he's giving you right next to someone, and you didn't follow your instincts. Like um, going to a building, don't have your hood up, and just had that eerie feeling like as you're walking up, you see the black chunky smoke and the pressure and volume. You're like, that's hot, and you put it up, or you're doing a search and it's getting hotter. It's getting hotter. Doesn't think like we're winning. Like, man, should I back up a little bit? Should I just get myself to a better position to get out of if I can instead of overcommit? With Larry McCormick, a buddy of mine who's on Squad 5, phenomenal fireman. He would say he feels as when his spidey senses starts tingling. Right.
Right.
That's a true statement. You get that eerie gut. That gut feeling is a real thing, right? You feel it in your gut. I guess that's the best way to say it. You feel that gut feeling, your gut's usually right. It usually is.
Trust your gut.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it. So, yeah, there's still questions coming at you. I've got a long one coming here.
Okay, God.
From Michael Ramirez, Team Ramrod wants to know, two-part question on the subject of leading from the front. I enjoy helping putting the truck back in service, loading hose, mopping the bays, washing the rig, cleaning the firehouse, etc. But the crew a lot of times prevent me from doing it. I know it's a respect thing, but how would you handle that besides giving them that look? I can't help but feel lazy when they do this. I'm curious on your thoughts. And you've kind of touched on it, but it's a recurring theme and it's a great problem. So,
It is. I think if you have that problem, you're doing it right.
mm,
Plain and simple. If you have the problem where the members are trying to stop you and take stuff away, they see it, and I'll let them at some point, or until these kids are younger than me, and I'm a fat old man now, and I just can't quite do it. The guy that's 6 something, and CrossFitting. I tried it. It was called CrossFat when I did it. Didn't work out well. But if they're actually taking the stuff away from you, you're doing it right. But it's the fact you tried. It's the fact. Instead of that officer, hey, that compartment's dirty. When you're done with that, can you clean the top of the rigs? By the way, clean the outriggers and stretch the air out. And we're going to grease the aerial. If my members are getting dirty, sweaty, and hot, then I should be. If my members are cold, tired, I should be. Yet I respect the fact they won't let us do as much. Got it. Yet we want to. That's part of that respect thing. But to respect your members, you have to be the one involved. So, or start it. I'll give you an example. Jerry Cambria, retired officer from 116. He wanted the windows done. He would just get up. It's windows. It's on the work schedule. They weren't doing it. What do you do? Get up, grab the bucket, hose, mop. As soon as the squeegee or the rag touched the window, the kitchen would clear out. And they did it out of respect. It just took him to start it. No, he didn't say, guys, you know the drills, you know the schedule, you better get your butt out there. Awesome example of leadership.
and I love the way you said it. If that's your problem, you're doing it right. It's a great way of stating it, man.
Was there a part two?
Man, I think that was the part two. I think that was the part two. He said 2-part question, but I think he gave the kind of the. All right.
Oh, okay.
Want to go to Jobtown? This is want to go to Jobtown. He says, question: my company is like my family. How would you tell your shift that you're leaving for a different department while not ruining relationships? It's a small, slow department, and I want to move to a bigger, busier department.
Okay. I slightly dealt with this. When I left Engine 63 and luckily got the detail to Squad 5, it was not well received by the house, but in a good way. I will say one of the best times I had in the fire service was at Engine 63, Truck 16. We did everything together as a shift, like Sox games, communion parties, baptisms, graduations. The whole shift went, and the wives and husbands went. So the wives and husbands knew each other. So everyone got along. So the house meant a little something more. Like there was that true family bond. That's the best I've ever felt in the forest. And other houses were great, so please don't take that away. Those guys maybe listen and call me Rosner. You're going to complain if I don't say that, right? He was one of the senior guys in the squad. So point is that I explained why I'm doing it. It had nothing to do with them, but what I had to do, what was right for me. And if they're truly your friends, they respect it. And the most humbling thing is when someone in the opposite role gave you grief and thing. I mean, I'll give examples. Once I left, other guys got promoted to engineer, lieutenant. House and I'm leaving. So you can't sacrifice your desire and career because of friendship. You could still be friends and move on. That's my opinion. And if they're butthurt over it, I'm sorry to be ignorant here. Oh, well, because I'm supposed to stay where I'm at when I have my own goals and things. Hey, man, then come with me. You know what? Come along. Come for the ride. See why I'm doing it. I don't know.
I love it. No, hey, man, there's a lot of depth to that answer, and I really do appreciate it. The understanding that if they are your friends, they're going to support you in your decision as you're bettering yourself and chasing your dreams and goals. Because you would do the same for them. I mean, honestly, if you reversed it out and they were taken off to better their lives or to move to a place that was their dream, like, wouldn't you support them? Because, yeah, man, I love it. I absolutely love it. Michael Ramirez said 2-part because it was too long for YouTube. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Did I step on you?
I said, if you're going to call it brotherhood or sisterhood, no. Got me?
I think so. I don't sure if it's cutting off. I'm trying. Go ahead. Okay, we're good. We're good.
We're good.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for that. Want to go to Jobtown. Steve Mouch wants to know, I'm terrible at putting thoughts into words, but question, when training, how do you balance letting crews explore new, different ideas and tactics versus following a set plan?
What I learned from a couple of friends of mine, one is his nickname's Billy Blatz. When we were doing a station, he said, you give him that 30-second or minute approach of, what do you guys got for an idea? Let them throw out ideas, right? There may be a good one you didn't even think of as the officer. And at some point you say, all right, let's try that. And if not, we're going to do this. There are those calls and times when, sorry, there ain't no negotiating, right? If you're the officer, you're in charge, heavy's the head that wears the crown, right? That's your responsibility. So you got to use your people to your advantage. And someone may have a really good idea you haven't thought of. If you think you're the smartest person, you're not. I don't know how many people are versed in EMS, hazmat, rope ops, confined space, structural collapse. Everyone's got their thing. I taught structural collapse and run under fireman officer school. We had to do a rope job when I was an officer and I got to go to squad 1, 2, or 5 as the officer, the guys were phenomenal with the ropes. I was the weakest link when it came to ropes. I was pretty good on structural collapse. That was kind of the special ops or the one discipline I gravitated to. And so that's kind of how you deal with it, I guess. I mean,
No,
I don't
I
know if
love
it's a
it.
good answer.
I know it's a great answer because I love it's something people can use. Give them the first 30 seconds, the first minute, let them throw out their ideas. Let them throw, and even sometimes you can be like, that one's not going to work, but hey, why don't we try it? Let's try it.
Right.
We're in train. Let's see how it does. But you can also learn something because they give you something you didn't think of, and now you look like a
Right.
genius when it does. So it's beautiful.
And not only that, it makes that member feel like they're part of that company that have value, right? If you said,
Absolutely.
no, this is my way. I worked for that one boss where he was a tyrant.
Yes.
Tyrant. It was miserable. And you didn't have a voice, you didn't have a say. It's like, why am I even here? You know what I mean? So even if you don't go with a great idea, but I see his legs stuck this way, I think this tool worked better, but I like it. If that don't work, we'll have to try that. I don't know.
No, and how important is it, like, if you are the boss and people quit talking to you because you haven't listened and you've shut down that communication, how bad is that route to go down? And then you lose all of that
awful.
knowledge. Oh yeah.
Awful. Yeah, that's exactly what you don't want to have happen. That's the worst.
The absolute worst. Saying, let me pull it up. Thank you, Steve, for that question. It was a beautiful question. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming here, going here. Moral courage, and calling the Mayday.
Okay.
Hit me with your thoughts. Go.
So the reason why I bring this up, this was a call that happened to me. I won't go into full length crazy details, but the moral of the story is we were the first rig on the scene. I was on squad 5 at the time. I was driving the snorkel. My partner was Mike Rogers. Up front was our officer, Corey Hojak. Mike Curtin was on the rig. Dave Walsh was on the rig. And I can't remember who were the sixth person was. I apologize right now. Whatever. Point is, 2.5-story frame building, heavy smoke, 2:30 in the morning, about 20 below zero, about a foot and a half of snow on the ground. We're the first rig on the scene because of what was going on around us. Garage fire catches another garage, frozen hydrants, call the box. So companies around us are out. And we were part of that movement around, but never got needed, kept getting turned back. We pull up first rig on the scene. We carry no water.
Right.
The only hose we got is 150 feet in the front bumper of inch 3/4, and maybe the 50-footer up in the basket of the snorkel. The box red's got what, maybe a hand pump? Like, we don't have water. So as the speaker cracks, report a baby's trap. I didn't stop, read the building. I didn't profile it. I just ran down the gangway with my partner to get to the rear of the building. Our job in the snorkel was the rear. The box rig was the front. The driver would go to the roof. The ventilator, roof. Sorry, would go to the roof to cut a hole. And just got out of my game plan, what we talked earlier. And then from that point, things went sideways. Frozen hydrants, bad information. That I end up going in a building without my partner knowing it, without a line, had it, but didn't know they lost water, to start a search, get turned around, slip and fall. And when I fall, I lose my orientation. I went into the rear. I knew my right arm was always on the Bravo wall going towards Alpha. When I slipped, I did I rolled and turned. So however it happened, and boots full of snow and ice, tile floor. It's like an ice ring. Didn't want to land the pipe, the Halligan, whatever. I get my stuff, start searching. I realize I'm lost, right? Get caught up. It's black, heavy smoke. Partner don't know where I'm at. Searching above an uncontrolled fire in the basement. Like every textbook thing I did wrong. And I've been teaching Red Under Fire since 2006. My buddy Gary Cooney took over the program, got me involved from the beginning with a bunch of other guys, and I'm supposed to be a RIT instructor. I'm on squad 5. I'm supposed to be a good fireman. I was the shittiest fireman of my life that day, and my family's heard this story before. Point being is, as I realize I'm in this moment, and our policy says lost trap, out of air, need immediate assistance, you call a Mayday. I look at my remote gauge, and I got like 2,800 or something. I'm not low on air. I don't know where I'm at. Caught up in the closet now, tangled in stuff. No, I got to find my way. And for whatever reason, the way I went was a loop around where there was a double door to this room that you can go around and around and circle. I mean, so yell out, no one answers. Don't hear any fireground sound. Don't hear any fireground noise. No air brake, no breaking glass, no saws running. I mean, it was the eeriest, worst feeling. And call me a liar, whatever. I swear to God, my daughters flashed before my eyes, and lucky I picked the way to go out. But what ultimately happened in that moment is I did not have the moral courage to call a Mayday. I was going to embarrass my company, and I was going to embarrass Squad 5 and the fire department. I was supposed to be a good fireman, maybe, on an elite company, maybe. Well, I didn't call a Mayday because I was too much of a coward.
Wow.
Plain in fact, I could have died in that building. Moral of the story is I just picked the way to go, ran into a guy in a line. His officer's out of there, leaves the building, says, "You got my guy." I'm like, "What's going on?" They hit the air horns. We got to evacuate down the building. We fall out the front door in an ice patch down the stairs. And my company officer waiting to bitch me out, Corey Hojak. And he was right. I mean, I messed up every way you could. But if I got any message out here, and I don't want to repeat the story because I know other viewers have probably heard it, so I'm sorry if I'm boring anyone.
You're not.
I
So keep telling your story.
I did not have the moral courage. I was more worried about embarrassing myself for a company that would have orphaned my kids, widowed my wife, and it messed me up so much that we went back to the firehouse. I prayed we didn't get another run that day. And every day I go to work hoping for a fire every day, right? That's the group of people I run with who mentored me, taught me, and I couldn't wait to get home. Couldn't wait to get home. And so call the Mayday. Get over the ego, the bravado. You're not a coward. You rather call me a coward and let me go home and hug my wife and kids.
Dude, Alan Glugoff, said it best. Definitely not boring, brother. No, and I can tell when it's good, when the YouTube chat goes silent and everybody is just listening. There's no chat and everybody's just listening to the story. Dude, believe me. Matt Carpenter said, "Thanks for sharing that honesty, brother. It takes a person to say he was a coward for doing wrong. Bravo." Absolutely. Cody Beaumont, that's perfect example. He said 100%. Thank you for that story. So, yes, you are not boring anyone with that. And it's a message. It's a message that firefighters need to hear.
Yes,
because I think almost, I mean, without fail, if you've been somewhere, you've been in a point where you should have called a Mayday and you didn't. And you didn't do it because of your ego, because of your pride, because of insert whatever word you want to use, but you refused to do it because you didn't want to embarrass yourself or your crew or insert whatever.
I don't know. I have nothing else to say to it. I mean, it bugged me so much that I talk about it regularly, and that's why. And even other things, you're afraid to call a Mayday because they'll razz you, they'll tease you, or you're afraid to make a decision on the fireground, maybe the wrong decision. Make a decision, learn from it, own it. You got to own it. So,
no, I love it. Is there? Now, because especially because you've moved into a position where you affect training. Is there anything you've implemented or tried to implement or plan to implement to make this more of to address this issue? I should say.
Ironically, we did a lieutenant promotional class in, I believe it was March or April, sometime in that time, and um, in that class they do COFO, right? It's the old FO1, they call it COFO, company officer, fire, whatever. So they do examples. They talk about, and I made sure I talked to the whole lieutenant's class about a couple of my mistakes that could have been catastrophic. Talked about where my pipe guy went down on me in an attic and had to bring him out, and nothing he did wrong. And a lot of things happened before we got on the scene, and other companies that weren't relayed. Talked about that Mayday because I don't want someone to make the mistake I did and have the worst possible outcome there is, right? That's the worst possible outcome where you get hurt or you don't, get back to your family. So I don't want that to happen. So we got to talk about it. And I'll give you an example. This is stupid. I was an officer on engine 47, get called for a still alarm, and it's not far from the firehouse. And I always hated the call that's like right around the corner because, yes, if I get written up, I'm sorry on my job, but yeah, we're supposed to wear seatbelts. We're supposed to, all that nonsense, whatever. I'll tell you, I was a hypocrite as an officer because I wore my seatbelt in every run except for a still because I wanted to be fully dressed, get off the rig before my members. Yes, I won't lie to you guys here. I will tell you the guys on the truth. If I get written up tomorrow, just come to my suspension party. So point being is that we pull down the street, we have smoke showing, and there are 3 different buildings. Not a street light works on the block. There's no address. And I literally get on the radio, engine 47 is seen. We have and I stopped. Now, they all listened to the radio and the scanner in the firehouses and the big bosses too. The first thing they did is look down the computer. Who was that jag-off or scumbag officer there today? What an idiot. You know what I mean? But so I told guys, I didn't know what to say in that moment because I never was put in that scenario. So just like that writ or that close call, I tell the guys in officer school, like, listen, just say engine 40 on this 7 on the scene. We have some smoke showing. Can't tell where it's coming. I'll get back to you. Instead of the whole 47 on the scene, we have a 1.5 story frame. We're at 1825, whatever. We're facing southbound. We have a fire. Okay, everyone's waiting for all that great information, but if I don't know it, don't say it. Because as soon as you start going, everyone's. And then I'm like, I think I said, on the radio. I sound like the biggest moron. So my answer is you have to talk about it because if not, someone else will repeat it. And if it comes from you from the heart and you have a decent reputation or you're respected, it means something because they probably think, wow, I can't believe this happened to you. Like, oh yeah, everything has because I'm an idiot sometimes. Yes.
I absolutely love the authenticity, and that's a recurring theme. At some point, you'll have to come back, visit the YouTube channel, and see all the comments because there's no way to read them all. It's absolutely amazing. Right. So right. it is worth revisiting.
I'll have to learn. I'll have to do that. Okay. Not at work tomorrow, though. Not at work tomorrow.
Not at work tomorrow, and not when you're getting written up, because we're all going to be at your write-up party. So
suspension party.
Suspension party. We've all been invited.
We can't call them suspension parties anymore because they got in trouble. So, like the one guy got suspended, he's on the hockey team. They call him the MVP award party. And then for another guy, it was I forget what else they call it for someone else, like his new shirt, whatever. They make up these crazy names now because you can't call it a suspension party, and so it's pretty unique. Firemen are genius.
See, I'm trying to think of what yours would be. It would be the seatbelt speed party, we'll come up with something.
Would be.
Speed drill party.
Yeah. Chinese fire drill. Wait.
Chinese fire drill party. We're all invited for Kentucky Owl, and we'll all be there. So Zachary Wendell wants to know, when training for calling a Mayday, do you prefer Lunar or the who, what, where, and why?
Okay, awesome. I'm a big fan. What we use in Chicago and what was implemented and what we do in a program, a company we work with called Duty, Pride, Tradition Training, LLC. We just literally started we got this from IFSI, from Gary Cooney, from Hoff, from Colony, from all those guys. We do LIP, location identification problem. Mm-hmm. Now, the only question that has come up with that, it's exactly the same as who, what, where. The difference is, and I never realized it till recently, like you say, you're always learning. Just because I say LIP, location identification problem, doesn't mean I do it that way. That's just a check mark for me to say those three things. Where who, what, where makes sense in the fact that who, hey, this is firefighter Stack. I'm on the second floor. I'm low on air. I can't find my way out. I do the same thing with LIP, but it just makes sense to me. I get lost in the lunar, right? Location,
Oh yeah.
unit, name, resources. Like what?
Right.
We need keep it simple, right? Keep it simple.
Absolutely.
So
KISS.
keep it simple, stupid is what we really do. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to say stupid, but that's a fact.
It's a fact. No, Lunar. We used Lunar in our department, and we adopted it. Because it was part of the what everybody was doing at the time. And we started doing a thing called Lunar Challenge, where you could just walk up to anybody anytime and say, "Give me a Lunar," and literally with no pressure, nothing going on, sitting in a hallway in the firehouse, you're like, Lunar, L, location. I'm in the hallway.
Yeah.
I'm on engine 3 today. What's in? Name, my name, and we realized, this is worthless.
Yeah.
This is worthless.
So a fan of who, what, where, or LIP, location identification problem.
Love it. Absolutely. Great question, Zachary. I don't know. I don't understand the question again. You're gonna when Mayday, do you go to names instead for numbers? Reword the question. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe reword the question. I'm looking. There's a lot of questions, Rich. So give me a minute while I scroll through them.
I love it.
Greg Hine, another Mayday question. In terms of Maydays, is your SOG to change TAC channels or stay on the frequency? I love this question because it's all over. So I want to hear Rich's take.
I guess I'm probably a animal in my own environment and what I've done and trained. We switch channels, but we're probably a big enough department where we can. Basically, for us, our procedure is the company with the Mayday stays on fireground. The RIT company, the RIT chief, stay on fireground. All their companies switch to alternate fireground or admit channel. So that's great. Now let's talk about reality of world. What kind of department are you on? Do you have the remote? Do you have the remote mic with the selector here, or do you have to go under your coat because it's in a pouch that you can't get to? What is the size and makeup of your department? There's so many things that come in play. It makes sense for me and for us to switch, and that's how we've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say it's wrong if you don't, because sometimes there are those companies that are close by that can help. And if you're on a volunteer department, a combination department, you have to rely on those companies that are there. You may not have a designated RIT team. You may not have it on the scene yet. There are companies that are close by that maybe can do that grab. So I think it's tough. It makes sense to me to switch. It's what we do, and I get that. But I'm not opposed if you train and are disciplined on it. I'm not opposed to anything as long as it actually works. You train, you're disciplined, and you prove it. You have to prove it. Just because I train on something, you better beta test it. Do it for real. Do it like it's realistic and see how it works.
Right on. Dude, great answer. All I've been saying tonight, great answer. Great, 100%. I love it. No, but it absolutely. All right. McGinn fixed his question. He said, when you do a Mayday, do you go to names instead of their radio call sign or the numbers?
Well, for us, if we're doing identification, if we're doing who, it's going to be, I'd be like, it's Lieutenant Stack, Captain Stack, or Firefighter, and I'd say what company. And if they don't, if I'm the incident commander, if I'm the company officer, receiving Navy, or whoever's in charge, because we teach it in our RIT program, is that then I'm going to ask. If I get Mayday, 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 this is Firefighter Jones. I'm lost as ever. Firefighter Jones, what company you're on with? What company you? Then I'll ask it. Ideally, like to teach to give it, just kind of make it is. Because problem is, on bigger departments, you could be detailed to another house.
Right.
And their company you're assigned to may never be on that scene. So you could, I get it, could be confusing. Like, hey, this is Firefighter Stack from Truck 1, and Truck 1's downtown, and we're over in Englewood on the south side, we're over on the west side. And you're like, right, no. So I can see that, but I think it helps because there may be more than one person on the scene with that name. Besides unit, could there be more than one person from that unit lost? So the name and unit help narrow down that specifically the person you're looking for.
Yes.
There could be two Smiths, there could be Johnsons, there could be same names. So
I love it. I got to quit saying that. Okay. Great answer.
have you ever
Thank
said anyone sucks? I mean, I'm just waiting for you to say, all right, Rich, that was a shit answer.
Rich, that was the shitty answer. No,
Thank you. Thank you.
Here's the deal, Rich, is I really am blessed in the fact that I only have badasses on the show. And I mean that. I mean that. I know that you've been self-deprecating and you said, hey, I'm an idiot and all that. And I appreciate the humility and everybody does. But the truth of the matter is this: the scrap has badasses on and the audience asks some questions. They absolutely crush it. So thank you. That dynamic works. Thank you, Greg, for that last question. Still more coming at you. Want to go to Jobtown, wants to know, how do you simulate the panic of Mayday in training?
How do you simulate the panic? So something we were afforded to do or allowed to do with the local state fire marshal office is we were able to use live down members in our red scenarios. There were some very specific things we had to follow.
Sure.
Right? You couldn't go in, say you're low on air and have a low air bottle on. Like you had to have a full tank. You had to have another instructor there standing there just as the safety right there on top of the instructor leading the company and everything else. You had an extra person safety there. So the reality is being realistic, right? Getting that hype, grabbing someone saying, how do I get out of here? Or grab them and say, follow me. All those things that you would do, actually having the urgency on the radio, changing her voice, getting the screaming on there, like anything I can do to get your attention, to get your awareness up, your anxiety level up, because we want that critical thinking to happen, right? You get put in those stressful situations, you have to, because you don't know how to react, and you may react all wrong. The wrong way might not be appropriate. At a fire, if things go bad and I just start running to get out instead of dropping to the ground, getting low, looking where I'm at, reading where I'm at, getting that close gap air, you may feel that heat and just start running. You could be running further into the building. So when you do that in a drill and we can put that realism and truly mimic that, that's how you do it. So I guess the answer is adding urgency, adding tones. We'll do a lot of rolling responses for our training when we do it. Like we pull up, rolling response, get out and go to work like you would. And then from there, we'll have a window pop open, someone hang out the window, someone throws something. We'll have someone get to the door and there's a scissor gate and someone just scream behind it and then grab the firefighter saying, get me out right now. Things like that.
Nice. All right. And Rich, that sucked. That was a terrible answer.
Thank you.
Okay.
All time.
Let's get to this because I really want to talk about it. And there's been some questions on it. And Blitz attack. Has there been anyone who's done more research on Blitz attack than Rich Stack? I'm sure there has, but I don't know of it.
Sure.
But let's start I'm going to start by saying, what do we mean by Blitz attack?
Okay. I'm saying there probably is. And any work I did was not by myself. There was a crew of people helping me. Oh my God, I can't even name everybody. Dan Bracken, Muddy Waters, Bill Strippick, Jeff Johnson, Cooney, McCardle, Walsh. I mean, there's so many. And then the founders that did it for us, like the guys from our job that started this process. So Blitz attack in a nutshell. Back in 1950s, pre-1950s, engines didn't have water. We had no tanks in the city. After 1950s, you've heard this, of course, so Corley knows some of this from listener presentation. They're in the mid-50s. They got tanks with 250-gallon tanks because they were building the Dan Ryan and the Eisenhower Expressway. They're below grade, and they needed tanks to put out machinery. Basically, these really smart firemen from back in this time, mid-50s, early 60s, said, hey, we're pulling up with 200 gallons of water. Why aren't you using it? Well, back in the day, they pull up, wrap a hydrant, drive to the building, or pull up, stretch to a hydrant, and get water and stretch in the building. And you had to wait for that water to come from the hydrant to the pump. There were no tanks. Well, these guys were like, hey, you have water. Why don't you use it? So they were filling lines with water starting to go in. Or they were shooting water from the outside through a window to darken the fire down to catch up. So basically, Blitz attacks are pulling in front of the building, hitting it in the mouth for about 10 to 15 seconds, hitting it with all the water you can from your deck gun, and then shutting it down and stretching a line. Now, There's so much more to that. Rig placement, moving out of the way for the truck. If you get the truck to front of the building, how big your tank is on your apparatus. What's the tip size on your deck gun? For the city, we have a 500-gallon tank. We run an 1 3/8, 1.5 inch, 1 3/4, 2 inch, 5, 6, 8, and 1,000. So that 1 3/8, we're getting 500 gallons a minute. We have a 500-gallon tank. If I did that for a minute, I have 0 water.
Right.
If I do it for 30 seconds, I have 250 gallons of water. We do about a 10-second, maybe a 15-second hit. Still enough water in the tank to charge the line, start stretching hose in the building, and do your attack while we're stretching line to a hydrant, connecting a positive water source. Granted, we have hydrants on the corner in the middle of our blocks, about 330 feet apart from each other. A little bit different than if you're in an area where I'm tankered, unhydrant, or my hydrants are further apart. But if I got a tanker, I got 2,000-gallon tanker, I could do still blue blitz attack. I could hit it for 30 seconds, still have plenty of water, and make an aggressive interior attack. Mo Davis and I used to argue about this because he was against it, and I love Mo and those Houston guys. He was like, oh, that's coward. But when I told him how it was to be more aggressive, to get to that live, viable, livable space in a structure to find someone, that's all it is. Be able to get me in there to get to that live, survivable space sooner. So
I love it. I love the fact, just thinking of you and Mo discussing tactics on blitz attack. Yeah, dude, I love the concept of
he admitted he kind of agreed a little because he was telling a story about a fire, and there's one room maybe. I go, well, now you may have 2 rooms, and it was interesting. So
no, I absolutely love it. I love sitting at tables when like any firefighters who are into the job are having a good discussion about where they work and their tactics that they use, and they can be open about discussing them, because ultimately the cool part about it is, and I know you know this, it's about the effectiveness for the people that we're there to rescue. And and when the people are there to discuss that, like all the rest of it goes out the window, and you can discuss and have the arguments, but at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And we're fortunate. We're fortunate. I mean, I got to teach with some great people. I mean, work with Aaron Heller, Bart Simpson, Matt Paglione, Danny McCauley, all these guys we teach with, from different entities, and anyone out there who can teach with someone, they ask you to come volunteer, do it. Like, I've been fortunate to teach at College of DePage, on-scene training, now with Duty Pride Tradition, like fortunate, and the network and the information, like the stuff I'm saying, it's a culmination of everybody in my entire private service career.
I love it. I love it. I've got some questions coming on blitz attack, and I delayed them earlier, and I promised to get to them.
Sure.
Ryan Orseth wants to know, what are your thoughts about a single line to the blitz instead of using gated Ys with a secondary line?
We understand a single line to blitz instead of a secondary line with a Y.
Right. That's what he asked. If I need clarification, I can ask him because he's still here, I believe.
I guess I'm not a fan of a Y on a line. Stretch the line you need, and if you need another one, stretch another one. I mean, we used to have Ys in our back step in Chicago, and they've simply gone away. I'm a fan of a single line. If I'm doing a blitz attack, now maybe it's a skid load where I'm hitting it with the 2.5 and then attaching 1 3/4 and going with that line, still wouldn't be using the gated line. I'm a fan of a single line. The problem with the Y is that if you don't have the exact same lead out, the exact same pipe on both of those lines coming off the Y, the friction's off, right? It's not the same. You're not getting the right flow. And until you pedo it, until you test it, I am not that engine guy. I'm not Andy Plofkin from Elkhart Brass, who's like stupid smart, or Jerry Herbstreit and all those guys, and Stretch Martin. I've learned all that from him. If you're not testing your package, as they call it, I don't call it a package, I call it a hose. But if you're not testing it, how do you know? So put a Y in there and then see what you're getting from the Y, from the line, from the pumper. And I learned that from these guys. And they made me feel like the dumbest fireman ever. I learned you charge the hose. If it's stiff when you step on it, it's like you're on prom night. I'll leave it at that, not insult anyone out there. It's good to go. And you can feel the water throwing it. That's what I knew. I didn't know what pipes we had and what they flow. So I'm a single line guy.
There you go. Great question. I love the question. Rich's answer, I want to say it's a terrible answer each time now, just for Rich's sake. Is the King's Loop really helpful, or is it a waste of time?
I'm not familiar with the King's Loop, so I can't answer that one.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was something I didn't understand. So
now I'm gonna look. Now I'm literally on my phone as you're saying this. Like, As you're asking me the next question, what is the King's Loop? Someone's gonna say, how do you not know it? That's why you're a crappy fireman.
He may clarify. We'll see. There is a delay, so I'll see if he pops up there. And I don't know. Yeah, the King's Loop. I don't know what it is. I love this question coming at you from the Southern Hemisphere. This was from Stephen Kaiser. I think it's around 11 o'clock where he's at right now, 11 o'clock a.m. But he wants to know, now you're in charge of training. How do you adopt a new tactic or technique from the floor, something that comes from the ground up that challenges the way it's always been done, tactic or technique?
My simple answer is do it and prove it. Uh, like someone says this is a better way. I'll give you an example. They always want to change our hose beds in the city, right? Or lead outs, or how we're bedding hose. And for some companies, it makes sense. Like 126 is running with more hose on their one cross lay. I know 116 maybe was 49 instead of 200, maybe 250, or they change stuff up. We got some Ram XD nozzles in the city, which I'm a huge, huge fan of. And two officers had them preset on their rigs on either the back step or the side step where they had the rubbish line. Like, so prove it. So if you have a better way to do it, lead it out the way we're supposed to, lead it out the other way. Or if you have a better way to chop, test it. Do the way you were shown in your way. And if it works, hell, nowadays, video it. I had a young firefighter kid in my house, and she was there for a 30-day detail until she got her assignment. We were doing lead outs. And we had our building on the south side over off of Wentworth, and we could get near flow water. And we were flowing water. It was a 2.5. We made her do some 2.5 work as well. And I was videoing her, and literally she was like standing straight up. She was like literally leaning back like this instead of like leaning into it.
Right.
So she wouldn't have that fire stance or that fighting stance. Didn't get it till I showed her a video. She could see her body position and knew she was too upright, not leaning in, ready to go. So I'd video it, I would time it, and I would compare it against how we do it and say, I believe you. We've always done this, so let's try it. And the facts are the facts. If it proved, do it. And if it's the same, okay. I mean, if it doesn't change, then if it doesn't make it worse, I'm still for it.
Okay. No, brother, yeah, I love the answer. Yeah, you mentioned the Ram XD, and we're just getting these here. We're getting ready to mount them on the back of every one of our rigs. Pre-connected is how we're running them on a 3-inch, I think.
Right?
But what's your thoughts on the Ram XD?
Ram XD, I think, is a phenomenal piece of machinery. I don't work for any manufacturer.
Fair.
I'm just telling you what I've learned from testing with it and doing it here. And I like it because I'll give an example. Here in the city, let's say we have a 2.5-story balloon frame constructed building, enclosed wooden back porches. The back porches are on fire. Maybe there's an exposure to one side, if not both. Well, first engine on the scene, where do we always want to lead our line to?
Yeah,
front door of the building, yeah. Right? But I can't. We're first engine. I can't. Can I drop 2 lines? Can I drop 3 lines? I know Bobby Smith, Brian McCardle, Brent Mahalik, all these guys at 116. I'm missing people. Rich Goditis, I mean, a whole bunch of guys. They'd say it's an all skate. That means everyone got a line. You get a line. You get a car. You get a car. Right? Everyone got a line. So drop 3. But my point is, with the Ram XD, I can stretch that to the rear, hit the enclosed wooden back porches while another firefighter or officer can stretch a line to the front door. I've left it unmanned. We water hammered it. Mo Rodriguez was the battalion chief in the 22nd. We tried extending off it with another 2.5, just making it a valve. We extended off the Ram XD with 1 3/4 inches. So the Ram XD, after it was a multi-versal, throwing 500 gallons a minute at a building, then we could take the tip off and extend with 1 3/4 inches or 2.5. So ain't like you're dead there either. Grab a high-rise pack. Grab a horseshoe.
Yeah.
It's just a valve.
Hey, we're excited. I'm excited, and I'll do this in my announcer voice. Elkhart Brass is not a sponsor of the Weekly Scrap. So, but absolutely believe in it, and I'm excited to see the implementation of it. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay. No, I'm a fan.
No, absolutely. And like you said, all the reasons you said, I won't even get into any sort of comparison. So this is one of my favorite questions. I don't know if you're, we've met each other, we've laughed, we've drank together,
yeah.
and we're good friends. I really do consider ourselves good friends, but I don't know if you're a reader. I don't know if you're a reader, but I love this question. Book or books that you think firefighters should be reading?
Okay. I am probably one of the worst firemen ever at reading books. I think I'm partly dyslexic and ADHD. So
Every
um,
firefighter I know is ADHD. I'll just put that out there. But go ahead.
yeah, that's why we're good firefighters.
Absolutely.
Some and they're not traditional ones, right? Bob Hoff and Rick Colomay wrote a book on firefighter rescue and survival, and it was I thought a really good book because I felt like for me in the fire service, I sucked at search and forcible entry, and I think we suck at it in the fire service. I want to get better. I'd say we're not terrible at lead outs and ladders, and I wanted to get better at those two things because I spent a lot of my time on engines until I got to the squad. So I felt like I had to get better, and that book was really helpful for that. So that was one. Um,
That was Hoff and
Rick Colomay.
Calumet.
Yep.
I might be mispronouncing it. I hope I didn't. Sorry.
No,
Okay,
yeah,
go
Bob
on.
Hoff, Rick Colomay.
Okay.
Two other books I had to read for an assignment I was giving. When I worked for IFSI, that old timer Mac, he made me be on a committee to develop leadership for the fire service. And I was the firefighter rank at the time. My buddy Lou Lake was the officer or chief officer. And we got a chance to go to Quantico to learn how the Marines teach leadership.
Oh wow.
And when I was, what's that?
I said, "Oh wow." I
Yeah.
was yeah,
So
yeah.
our Mac was a retired chief officer of Oak Lawn, Orland Park, and Homer Glen. He was like hugely instrumental in the state of Illinois, and I just can't explain it. But he was a Marine, and our boss at the institute was a former Marine. The one before him was a former Marine. So the directors, so they had the idea where the fire service in Illinois was complaining that we lack leadership, and they were going to develop a program. So start this program, go to Quantico, go to the basic school, expeditionary warfare school, command and general staff school. And there's an awesome story at the end if you want to hear about this restaurant event, which is phenomenal and changed my life.
Please tell me the story. And everybody wants
Okay.
to hear it already. So just
Oh
go
my God,
straight into the
we're
go
not
straight
going
into the
too
story.
long. All right.
No. This is the scrap.
So
You can't go too long.
all right. So I want to get roasted at the end. I'm excited. Okay. So point being is we go there, and when we're there, we get a coin from each school. They gave us a copy of the U.S. Constitution. Like we went to learn how they teach leadership. And when I got out of this, I'm going to sidebar here. In the Marines or in the military, you either move up or you move out. And there is an exit ramp. There is an off ramp. They don't have to accept shit. They don't have to accept subpar. We just had to accept it in our fire academy. And I'm sorry if I get in trouble for this tomorrow and I'm at the academy. Oh, well, we had to accept subpar. I'm sorry. When I came on, you had two chances to pass your firefighter 2 and EMT. And if you didn't, get the F out. That don't happen today. You get a third time, then you maybe get a fourth time. I'm sorry. Not everyone gets a trophy. Not everyone gets a medal. Is that the person you want saving your family? All right, sorry. Digress. So we go there and we were given war fighting and leading Marines. It's a small paper pamphlet book. I read them both. And when I heard leading Marines and everyone's a rifleman, it just equated to me, and I was never in the service, so I didn't have that honor. Leading firefighters. Everyone's a rifleman. Everyone's a firefighter. Like it just resonated to me. And then when you're reading Warfighting, they talk the fog of war, right? The the fog of smoke, right? Or the blindness of the smoke in the fireground, or smoke on the fireground. It made sense to me. And in that trip to Quantico to be part of a team I did not want to be a part of, to help develop a program I wanted no part of, it got me to go to school and get my degree. Lucky I got out of high school. I was not a smart person per se. Wrestling luckily saved my life in high school and gave me direction. I needed direction, whatever. And I'm lucky I got out. Not that I'm an idiot, but it just wasn't for me. And my parents begged me to go, didn't go. Now I got daughters, right? They're both in college now. One at Michigan State, one at Marquette. A fifth year at Michigan State. Please be done next year with your sister because she had to do extra stuff. This damn COVID. Needless to say, I want my kids to go to college. And I grew up in a neighborhood on the south side called Canaryville. My cousin Danny Bracken's probably listening. Justin, they're from there. And when we grew up, I never heard the word college. I heard trade school, military. That's it. The girls, beautician school, or like a secretary. Right? It just didn't happen. So it wasn't a word in my vocabulary. It wasn't until my dad remarried my stepmom My mother passed. I was real young. Me and my brother. My dad raised me and my brother himself for a couple years. He's a great man. And my dad remarried. My stepmom's a wonderful lady. Have another brother, 2 sisters, but she went to college. Education was important to her. Not that it wasn't to my father, but different backgrounds. So as I get older, I realize, and this trip just made me realize, to be an officer in the Marines, you have to be educated. And I wasn't a lieutenant yet. And I thought, these kids are 18, 19-year-olds. And they're thanking me for my service as I'm walking by being a fireman, right? Like, are you shitting me?
Right.
You're 19 years old, putting your life on the line. Like, what? And that trip got me to go to school to get my bachelor's, and I didn't have an associate's even. So me and my buddy Gary Cooney, I make Gary go with me. He probably hates me this day. If he's listening, he probably is. And I still threaten him we should do a master's, and I don't think he'll talk to me if I make him. But we went and got our bachelor's degree, or did the bachelor's program. Like, well, you idiots, you have none of your gen eds because you didn't have an associate's degree. So then we had to backtrack to get our gen eds to get an associate's degree. So yes, I luckily graduated with a bachelor's. But this is how smart I am. And my wife lives on upstairs. We go to the graduation down in Southern Illinois. I have no trades left. I have no time I can trade off for work because I'm spent. Used up whatever max left.
Used it all.
Right. And I don't want to go. My wife's like, you need to go. I'm like, I'm not going. I don't need to walk. I ain't walking for anyone else. Screw that. My mother and parents want me to go. My wife's like, gotta do it for your parents. I'm like, no, I don't gotta do nothing. I get ignorant and stubborn, right? So they used to say I'm gonna go, but I can't trade off work. So a buddy of mine, Stash, owes me a day. And he goes, I'll work for you. I owe you today. I go, I can't trade. Mo was the battalion chief. Like, Mo, tell him, like, he goes, you got to go. So I go into work in the morning, punch in, do all the paperwork, whatever. Then Stash comes in and covers, and he's got a heavy accent. He's from Croatia. Tough dude, good dude. And he goes, and I can't even mimic his accent. Like, you can't talk on the radio. He's like, why? I go, you can't talk on the radio. They'll know it's not me. You can't talk. So the engineer was doing the radio communications. The battalion chief knew, and I went. Yeah, I'll probably get fired tomorrow. IED is going to knock on my door. It was many years ago from a different department. So needless to say, we go to graduate. The program comes out. There's my name, Rich Stack. Next to it says summa cum laude. And I'm like, Jill, what the hell does that mean? She's like, means you graduated honors, you idiot. So there you go. True story. Right.
I absolutely love it. We'll all be.
What?
No, we're all going to be at your termination party. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be great. Tell my wife. Sorry, Jill. So back to Quantico. We get done with our day. Changed my life. We go to leave, and we think we're going out the wrong exit, meaning that there's an exit, and there's this restaurant called the Globe and Laurel, and this Marine named Rick Spooner was the owner. He was a major. I think he's a major, and his son was awesome. And I apologize, Mr. Spooner. God rest your soul if I said the wrong rank. His son was awesome. Rain was a major. And so we're there. They're like, oh, if you go by here, you got to go to this restaurant. They got patches and challenge coins and all memorabilia, and this guy's phenomenal. And all right, well, they go, oh, you're here. You're going out the wrong exit. Well, whatever we screw up when we go out the right exit and we go right past the restaurant, like, holy shit, there it is. Let's stop. We go in, and it's Lou Lake, myself, Brian Brower, and Roger Lunt. And two of our bosses, and we go in. Hey, we only have half the restaurant open. We're kind of crowded. There's seats at the bar. You want to sit at the bar? I'm like, yeah. So we go to the bar, sit and talk with the bartender. We eat, having a great time, and there's some books. There's some cigars. Like, yeah, it's Mr. Spooner's cigar. He's the owner. So we heard about Mr. Spooner, and literally, like, oh, he had a book. I bought the book. I have yet to read the book. I bought 2 books because they were in Mac's possession, and God rest Mac's soul. There's probably still his house somewhere. So they're like, well, Mr. Spooner's out back in the patio, smoking a cigar and drinking his wine, his own blended wine, his own cigar. So we go out back, we start talking to him. This guy was such a cool, interesting guy. And he was like, why are you here? Why are you firefighters here? What are you doing? We tell him, he's like, no better place to learn than from the Marines and how we do it. Because they show you how to make the bed. There's only one way to make the bed. There isn't 50 different fire academies, right? There isn't 1,000 fire academies. There is one way the Marines do it through the whole state of U.S. If we can do that for the fire service, if every fire academy taught the exact same thing, the exact same way, then we'd be getting somewhere, brother. Well, we don't have that luxury. So that's what we do. And Mr. Spooner, we tell him, he pulls out of his 3-piece suit, vest coat pocket, his copy of the U.S. Constitution he was given when he first came a Marine. the Constitution we got today. I mean, it was the coolest time experience, and it changed my life and got me to go to school, and
Wow.
really got me be more invested in education. Because yeah, you said I have the papers, I have a degree. Piece of paper never crawled the hallway, never put out a fire. So it's Bobby Hoff was one of the ones. As other guys, training should be 70% hands-on, maybe 30 education. Hands-on, still education, still training. Maybe it's 80-20, 80% hands-on, and maybe 20% of that classroom stuff. But you need to feel it, do it, and touch it.
Brother, I love the fact that you brought it full circle back to that Constitution that you got, and then you brought it back full circle to the beginning and the paper. I said he has the papers, dude. Absolutely. Everybody's like, that's a timestamp. Timestamp that. There it is. There it is. Okay. This is the weekly scrap, and on the weekly scrap, we do a thing called the 5 questions for firefighters.
Yes.
The 5 questions for firefighters been around for a long time now. Actually, it's crazy how long it's been around. It blows my mind. But this is the version 3.2. It's the 3rd iteration with a few modifications over the history of the scrap. I ask you the questions. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just your opinions. And then I assign the points arbitrarily with the help of the audience. So my first question for you is, Mr. Richard Stack, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Number 1, what is the skill that has carried you through your fire service career?
A skill. I guess I would say wearing all your stuff, doing it right all the time, wearing your waist belt, getting dressed with your gloves on, doing it the right way every time, all the time.
I'm writing. I'm going to say A, worst question ever, and max points. But actually, I love it. I really do. So I'm trying to bust your chops, but I'm not good at it. So,
and I'm a sensitive guy, so.
Wearing your stuff, getting it right, the little things, just getting it right. No, I can't knock it. Yeah, there it comes. Max points, 100. I won't do that again. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at it. It's Jobtown. It's Jobtown. It's time. It's time. You're en route and responding. Think of the scene from Backdraft. He's slapping that tape in there when McCaffrey's jumping on the rig. There's a song that's playing, but what song are you playing while you're en route and responding?
Man, there's so many. You could be like Nowhere to Run To, Nowhere to Hide. I'm a huge fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan, so The Houses of Rockin' or Crossfire. I like the vibe of Thunderstruck, though, as you're pulling up. Like, I need that boom, boom. Like, there's some probably good Food Fighters and Nickelbacks. Like, I'm doing Thunderstruck, AC/DC, Thunderstruck.
I like it.
It was cold in the middle of the night and the attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we'll get a sing along going here. There we go. LFG, max points. Sam said 100, and Sam's a huge fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan. It might be his favorite. So
I love Stevie Ray.
You said that he threw up the rocker horns. I could see it.
Caught up in the crossfire. Love it. Oh.
Lawless said max points from AC. Yeah, max points, AC/DC, LFG, max points thrown up there. Cody Belmont. No. Easy max points 1 and 2. Number 3. What is your favorite fire service tradition?
Tradition for fire service that we did. I mean, my favorite tradition in fire service, or what I miss, is 3/4 boots and long coats, but we can't go there. So, I mean, that's a tradition I love. I'll always read. Man, the hand pump, the hand, bring the can. That's a good tradition. I guess I'd have to say, going back to my time in the fire service, family and firehouse, like doing things together as a family and incorporating them. And I'll give you an example. If it was a holiday and we worked, we did a brunch and everyone came to the firehouse. Grandparents, kids, everyone came to the firehouse and we fed them. We cooked out and it was awesome. We're getting away from that tradition and we don't care about each other as much and we need to.
No, dude, I'm telling you, hey, I love the answer. Max points, firehouse and family, making them the one and the same and including the family in the firehouse. And we are getting away from it. We're getting away from including the community in the firehouse.
Yes.
But even more importantly, we're getting away from including the family in the firehouse. And Rich is an excited guy, but when you're tapping your desk, it sounds like a sledgehammer hitting your computer, just so you know. So
I'm doing this?
Yep.
Oh, that's my drink. Yeah, that's my fidgetness. Thank you.
No,
That,
you're good. You're good, but it's very loud for the listeners later. So
sorry, guys.
I'm giving you a heads up.
All right.
And again, it actually emphasized your passion. So
Okay.
I hope the listeners appreciated it. But brother, I'm telling you right now, that's one that's near and dear to my heart. Man, we have to include our family in the fire service life, in the firehouse. I really
Awesome.
love that. Easy max points, and of course, there's so many people throwing up rocker horns and max points. So love family time at the firehouse. There it is. There it is. Absolutely crushing it. Number 4. This one is on the clock. You can see the clock. 1 minute to answer the following
Okay.
question. 1 minute. No honorable mentions. No fifth places. I mean, you can if you can fit them in the minute, but you got 1 minute
I
to
can't just
answer.
rattle off names and then in the last time I can't just rattle off names in the last 10 seconds, give my 4 names.
We'll see how people score it. We'll see how people score it. So 100%. Who are the 4 people you would put on your Mount Rushmore of the fire service?
Real simple. My father, Pat Stack, Mac McCaslin, Bob Hoff, and Stuart Stone.
Boom.
My father, because he's my biggest hero, mentor, and role model, I wouldn't be a fireman if it wasn't for him. I volunteered with my father. And if you want a volunteer story of kicking me off the rig, it's a funny one. Mac McCaslin, because he was the mentor to all of us and got us there. Mac's gone. Bob's probably off now, that guy I lean on and talk to for advice that I used to do to Mac. And Stuart Stone was my first fire chief when I was a volunteer fireman, my fireman. He was like John Wayne, mean, tough son of a bitch. And he kicked us in the ass and was all over. And he was the best man I could have worked for as a young man. I needed that. And the coolest thing my father ever did for me when I started in the fire service, he says, I'm a volunteer. And there were young guys around the department that worked. And on other jobs, he said, you go learn from them. Like my father wanted me to learn from the best, even though I wanted to learn from my father, but my father. So Stuart Stone was that guy. And he was scary and intimidating, but he made you better. Well, those are my 4.
Easy max points, especially when you throw your father. Everything personal. A great story. But I will tell you this: you just set the record for the fastest 4 ever at 7 seconds.
I want my second back.
Yeah,
I want my
Sam's
second back.
talking to. I don't know, Sam. Can they hear you or no? Okay, yeah. The people can't hear, but Sam's telling us in the headset that he actually hit the button a little slow. So yeah, again said it's got to be 8 seconds to score. Now you said there was a story. Was it? Is there? You said there's a story.
My dad volunteering.
Yeah.
So my father, my father's a volunteer fireman. We moved from the city to suburbs, and becomes a volunteer fireman. I want to join, and you couldn't come on until you're 21. Well, downtown Glen Ellen, everything happens in the town, right? It's a little small town. Downtown's where it is, and everyone hung downtown. And the wrestling team, we'd stop up there and see my dad when he was working on Monday night drill night, or there was drill night on Monday nights. We'd stop and see him. So I want to join. Turn 21. He's like, nope, you just turned 21. Go be stupid and ignorant. So I didn't come on at 21. Came on a couple years later, and I'm still living at home. Call comes in the middle of the night. Now, Dad, you've heard this story 1,000 times. I know you're listening. I still mean every word I'm saying here. So middle of the night, house fire comes in, call for a house fire. Well, I had a Ford Bronco, the real Bronco, not the new ones, not the piece of crap Bronco 2, real Ford Bronco, lifted, tinted windows, big Dale Earnhardt number 3 stickers in the window, the old man. And it had a loud exhaust. Well, I got the truck running. I'm dressed, ready to go. I'm waking him up still. We go flying about Mach 2 to the firehouse. He's sliding all over the leather seats. The truck's rocking and rolling. He's yelling at me to slow down. We get to the parking lot, and the way it worked for my volunteer world when I was a volunteer is first one there was the driver, drove the rig. We had a car there. We had a driver. My father and I had lockers right next to each other. He was number 42, and I was number 24. We had opposite shields number. You can't see, so whatever. Opposite numbers on our shield. We're getting dressed together right next to each other. An officer shows up. Awesome. We got a driver. We got an officer. We got 2 backstep people, right? Awesome. Unbeknownst to me, another firefighter came in the building, got dressed, and you couldn't see him where his locker was. He gets in on the officer side. So my father and I go to get in. He gets in behind the engineer. I let him go first, being the gentleman I am, like he raised me. He looks back, so sorry, because they already had 4. He wouldn't take more than 4 people. Puts his foot out, pushes me, closes the door, out the rig, goes to a house fire. And I'm standing on the bay floor, holding all my shit, going, are you kidding me? And he pull out. This is a true story, mind you. They pull up, whole back of the house fully involved. My dad's on the nozzle putting out the fire. We're on the second engine out of the firehouse, and it's a house fire for a volunteer fire. Everyone shows up. Some in their cars, whatever. If it's nothing, you're lucky you get one or two people. Everyone's showing up. We're the second engine out, relaying water to the first engine. Never woke my father for another run again. True story.
Wow.
Yep.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Which takes us to the final question.
Okay.
It's the question that's been around. It's never changing. I don't plan to ever change it. It'll be on the scrap forever. As long as we do 5 questions. It is heavy fire. There is searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
Oh, you already gave me an easy answer. You said first in. You didn't say first in on the nozzle. You said first in on VS. So first off, I want to be first in. So
Okay.
that just changes everything for me. If you had first in for both, up for debate. Now, first in, yes. First in on VS, yes. With the caveat that engine better be doing a blitz attack or dropping 2 to make that place as viable as I can for me. But I'm going VES first in.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Yeah, McGinn said, I wish you could timestamp that whole story. Absolutely. And that makes it 5 for 5. Max point, easy max points. Brother, thank you for letting me try to bust your chops. I absolutely love it. And that officially makes it 5 for 5. Max points. Rich stack. That officially makes 254 scraps in the books. My brother, thank you for sharing your evening with us. If someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do so?
Thank you. You could always email me. I'll give my personal, not my work. It's R, and then my last name, Stack, STACK, CFD @gmail.com. My cell, I'll throw my cell out there. I don't care. 773-988-0259. I'll leave it to my personal stuff, not work. So those are probably the 2 best ways.
Boom. There you go. You can contact Rich and pick his brain, which takes us to housekeeping. Go to firehousevigilance.com, become a vigilante. This just in, you can now join the vigilantes annually. So if you don't like monthly subscriptions, go sign up. Coming up, we just scheduled this July 31st. We're having our next forum. It's been a while since we had a forum, but forum number 15 is coming up. Our guest is Frank Lieb. He's going to come in there. It's the VIP guest on our next forum. It will be July 31st. Go become a vigilante if you want to be a part. One of the cool parts about being a vigilante is you get invited to the after party of the scrap, which is where we show up and bust the chops of the guest. Rich Stack said, bring it on. That was actually his quote. He said, bring it on. I'm ready for it. So that's happening here in about a few minutes. Sam's going to be posting the link for the after party, and we're going to bust Rich's chops. So that being said, he said, I'm from Chicago. You think I can't handle? That was a quote.
Right. They're killing everyone every day here. We're good. There's massive shootings. We're fine.
Everything's fine. Keeping up on the scrap next week, not next week. Next week is I'm actually going up to Richie Stack's area. I'm going to be up there for firemanship.
Yep.
You're going to be at firemanship.
See you there. I'll be there with Duty Pride Tradition Training. We'll be up there.
It'll be a good time, man. If you're going to be at firemanship, please, please, please look us both up. Look us both up. Get pictures. Hang out with us. But after that, Mr. Smokelahoma, Brian Lloyd, he is coming on the scrap. And here's the thing. He's coming on the scrap on Monday. On Tuesday, and I scheduled the scraps a long time in advance, okay? So I want everybody to understand this. But Chief Dave McGrail called me and said, hey, I'd like to do a scrap with my father. And I'm like, wow. What do you say to that? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I would, yeah, that's exactly what you say. But I was booked for the rest of the year. So here's the deal. It's going to be Brian Lloyd on Monday. And then Tuesday, the day after, is going to be Dave McGrail and his dad, who did, I don't know how many years at the Denver Fire Department, but you're talking about 100 years of fire service. So it's the double header. I've never tried to do it before. It's back to back, Monday, Tuesday. So that's coming up at the end of July. So this is the first time I'm announcing it. So I want everybody to know about it. And then there is something else coming up in August that's never happened on the scrap in 5 years. And I'm going to put out a teaser video probably after firemanship because I got too much on my plate. But all that being said, enough jabbering from me. Everybody, thank Rich for being here and spending his time with us. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you. It's truly my honor and pleasure. Thank you so much to everyone.
Brother, you absolutely killed it. It was a pleasure. And then I will say
Uh,
this, audience, every week you guys tune in, you ask the best questions, you send nice, hard, like straight down the pipe so that the guest can crush it. And I appreciate you. The scrap would not exist without you. You put up with our internet issues, everything. You make the scrap magical. And I thank you for tuning in live each and every week. I love you all. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it's burning. Everybody,
yes.
stay safe out there.